Well, thank you all. I do want to thank Buddy for his very great introduction. Thank him for his friendship. I've been with him in Austin and now in Galveston, getting to be where he does his business, where he earns his living, in part by doing some fishing. But I'm sure you all know Buddy. If you don't, you may recognize him from television. This is a TV star. He's better known on TV than I am. He's the fisherman that shows up in those HEB commercials. Fresh from the Gulf of Texas into HEB, which is why HEB's fish sales are so high. That's because the fish from the Gulf of Mexico is the best of any place in the entire world. Now, I know that in part because I just got to eat some right before coming out here. But I also know that in part because of the years that I spent right here in this part of the state. I began my professional career in Houston, Texas, and lived over here for 12 years, spending many a day over here in Galveston with my wife and then with my daughter, bringing my daughter out here since she was just a little child, enjoying both the magic and the majesty of Galveston Island. Getting to be with BOIs. There's a few BOIs here today. And I tell you what, I'm so proud of the character of people, whether you're a BOI, whether you lived on the island, you all understand what character is all about. You understand exactly what I have dealt with in my life. Y'all know about the challenge that I faced when actually I just moved to Houston for 2 months and I was out jogging that day and that big tree crashed down on my back, leaving me paralyzed and unable to ever walk again. But I learned a lesson that every BOI knows in their heart and in their soul. And that is, our lives are not defined by how we're challenged. Instead, we define our lives by how we respond to the challenges we face. Katrina knows that as being the namesake of a hurricane, and Galveston is no stranger to hurricanes. You've seen them before and you will inevitably see them again. But we've seen every single time the way that people in Galveston, the way that people on the island respond to challenge. Now, I was aided in responding to my challenge by that wonderful wife that Buddy made reference to. I was married for just 2 years at the time that accident happened. And think about this. When my wife and I walked down the aisle and took that oath, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, she never knew that oath was going to be put to test. But she stood by my side, helped me piece my life back together. And in 3 weeks, on August the 15th, we're going to celebrate our 33rd wedding anniversary. That shows you the character of the next First Lady of Texas. Well, there's something else special about the next First Lady of Texas, and that is that when I put my left hand on the Bible and raised my right hand to take the oath of office to be the next governor in Texas, at that moment, my wife is going to make history in the state of Texas as the first Latina First Lady in the history of this state. I want to stop for a moment and go back and say something about Buddy that's so important. 2 things actually that fit within what we all believe and stand for. Just very briefly, he mentioned something that is powerfully important. Before he got involved in business, he served our country in the United States Marines. Every year I've been participating in Memorial Day ceremonies and Veterans Day ceremonies. In this past June, I had a special ceremony recognizing the 70th anniversary of the men and women who served on D-Day. And one thing I've learned time and again is that we never say thank you enough to the men and women who've worn the uniform of the United States military. And I would like to take just one moment, and if there's anyone out here at all, man or woman, who's ever worn the uniform of the United States military, would you raise your hand and wave it so we can thank you for your service to our country? Thank you all for protecting the freedom that we stand for. I'm going to talk to you about just two things. One is that freedom, and the other is the other thing that Buddy stands for. He came and he started a business. There are several other of you around here who have started your own business. You know what? There is no place in the entire world better than Texas for starting and opening and running a business. Texas is the hallmark of free enterprise, of entrepreneurs, and I can guarantee you, as governor, I will keep Texas that way.
All right.
We know government can't run business better than you can. We're going to make sure we keep government small, taxes low, regulations predictable, maintain Texas being a right-to-work state, and keep the lawsuits off your backs so you can make a profit, run a business, and grow a business here in the state of Texas. In addition to keeping Texas #1 in the nation for jobs, in addition to keeping Texas #1 in the nation for energy production, in addition to keeping Texas #1 in the nation for exports, for farms, and for so many things, including the best seafood in America, I think the time has come for another #1 ranking in the state. And I'm going to get us there. I think that Texas should become #1 in the nation for educating our children. I will build the best schools in America. My wife, that I may mention too, is a former teacher and principal. And we've seen firsthand the way that education can transform lives, and you can become anything you want to be in the world. And we will ensure we have the best schools in America. But the main thing that we fight for is for freedom. We see this show up in so many different ways. It shows up in something we're seeing on a daily basis. We're seeing people who are fleeing and flooding across the border every single day, and you know what they're called? They're called Californians. Californians are coming to Texas every day, and there's a reason, and I want to tell you about one of them. His name is Jay Adair. Jay Adair is the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar business called Coparts, and he left California because he said the taxes were too high, the regulations were too strangling, and the unions had made it so he just couldn't do business out there anymore. And he searched the entire country for the best place to relocate to, and the answer was the great state of Texas. But he said the most powerful thing about him coming from California to Texas was that for he and his wife, who had lived out there pretty much their whole lives, for the children who were born and raised out there, not till they got to Texas did they realize that Texas truly was different. It was more than just the urban legend, that there was one thing in Texas that Californians really couldn't comprehend, and it's that one word, freedom. And I just want you to know that it is that freedom and the free enterprise principles behind it that I will fight for and defend every single day as your next governor. But here's the deal. I cannot do this alone. This is not a one-person fight. This is a team effort for the future of this state and the future of this country. Because remember this one thing. Remember that my opponent's campaign is being run by a bunch of Barack Obama operatives. People who are trying to turn Texas into their version of California, New York, and Washington, D.C. They want to sap our freedom, regulate our lives, and try to run our businesses into the ground the same way that we've seen businesses run into the ground in California and New York. We must together fight for the freedom that makes Texas special. To do that, I need everyone to dig deep and do two more things. One, do we have a table up around here anywhere? Right over here is a table. On your way out, I need you to grab an Abbott bumper sticker and put it on your car or your truck or your motorcycle, however you get around. When you get stuck on I-45 going back into Houston sometime or trying to get back out here from Houston, someone is going to memorize the name Abbott. My campaign promise to you is if you take one of those bumper stickers and put it on your car or your truck, on November the 4th, when we are celebrating another victory, when they call the election for governor for Greg Abbott, and you try to get that bumper sticker off your car, if you can't get it done, I'll have Dr. Greg Bonin right here come out, and he will personally scrape it off of your bumper. State Representative Bonin, by the way, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your service to the state of Texas. The last thing I'll tell you is, again, my appreciation for Galveston. And I just want you to know that it's been a pleasure to come to Galveston, not just today, and not just every day that I've ever been here. I want you to know it's going to be a glorious opportunity to return to Galveston repeatedly as your governor for the great state of Texas. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Thank you for being here.